Great, we are here.
Perfect.
Good to see everyone. So let's start the day, guys. A very happening day. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from all parts of the world who have registered for this great webinar happening today. And hope you all and your family are doing safe in the COVID times. Our best wishes are with all of you. Today, we are having a lovely and unique event around the great theme which covers loyalty. So if the guys wants to know how loyalty is evolving in new age and engages defragmented users, then you are in the right place. We'll go all over it throughout the panel discussion and give a lot of insights to you. Now to begin with, let me introduce myself and the company to all of you. My name is Nitin Naveen and I will be a host for the day. I'm working as Vice President Innovation Strategy at AI CoreSpot. Further, I've been joined by my colleague Arvind and Naveen, who will also assist me in keeping the event lively and resolving technical glitches if it comes in between. So thanks a lot to them for putting in such a hard work and making this one a huge success. We'll try to provide a seamless experience to all of you so that you can gain maximum output out of the same. Let me provide a brief background to all of you about AI CoreSpot. We started last year, backed up by our partner InfoVision, who is our knowledge and innovation partner for us, and Digit7, who is our technology partner. Our mission as a company is to serve as a hub for information regarding Industry 4.0 technologies, which includes AI, ML, deep learning, digital twin, robotics, blockchain, AR, VR, 5G, drone, analytics, edge AI, edge computing, IoT, cloud, and so on. The focus is to provide all of you a deep dive in all the sectors where technology is there. And every month, the theme is different. Also, we are gaining momentum month on month. Our aim is to be number one AI-driven community all over the world so that like-minded people like you can be a part of the same in supporting, growing, and making it a success. We'll enrich the content through videos, podcasts, newsletters, blogs, and digital content to shed light on the ever-evolving industry. The focus to do industry-backed webinars and hybrid events. The knowledge repository will be made from all the data which we get through the industry leaders, subject matter experts, thought leaders, and our partners. Today's webinar is the part of our knowledge series of events which we have planned for this year, power-packed with the panel discussion themed around loyalty in new age. There are a lot more in store for subsequent months as well, with focus on different sectors like banking, financial, insurance, telecom, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, supply chain, energy, utility, and the list goes on. So request all of you to go through our website, which is aicorespot.io, for future updates. Also, please like our social media handles, which will keep you all updated on everything what we propose to offer in the coming months to follow. Before starting with the day, I'd like to highlight few things so that can set up the tone for the amazing learning and networking day. A special mention about our knowledge and innovation partner, which is InfoVision. It is an end-to-end IT and business service provider specializing in providing technology transformation and innovation projects for over 25 years across multiple industries. They have over 3,000 technology professionals working across 12 global locations, including US, Latin America, Middle East, and India. We serve over 65 customers across banking, financial services, telecom, media, retail, consumer goods, healthcare, and manufacturing industries. The core services which they offer includes digital engineering, comprising of cloud, big data, analytics, DevOps, application services, legacy modernization, digital quality assurance, mobile, API, microservices, social media research analysis, and cybersecurity. They also have a unique state-of-the-art research and innovation lab named Digit7 in Richardson, Texas, with 4 great products, which includes dgrab, DigitShells, TagSquare, and FlyRobo. The beauty about all the 4 products is that they are customizable, cost-effective, and can be used in every industry where technology is needed. With their strong technology capabilities and delivery expertise, we are sure that they can help anyone in their transformation journey. Provide technology needs to build future-proof business model and excellence into one's end customer experience. So to get in touch with them, kindly log on to their website, which is infovision.com, and leave your details through the contact us section. Now, moving on and coming to our community partners for today, it includes a great couple of great companies, which is Balfour and Mars, who came together to make this webinar a success. A special mention to attendees of the event who registered and came today to achieve their objectives through this forum. At the end of the day, if you gain few things out of this, or get to network with each other, then our core objective as a platform will be achieved. Further, if anyone wants to ask questions, they can type it in the Q&A section, which is there at the right side of the menu option. You can type in as and when the panel member speaks, and we'll try to get it answered as per the time permitted. There's also a hand button, which is visible only to the audience at the bottom of the screen, which you can even raise the hand and come to the stage to ask questions to the speakers as well. So now, let's begin the day, guys. Let me hand over the stage to Hemant Kumar, who is AVP Digital Innovation Retail from Infovision, who is the moderator for this panel discussion. He's joined by a couple of great leaders in the industry, Arvind Kashyap, who is CIO of Balfour, and Lee Bogner, Innovation Strategist at Mars. So over to you, Hemant, to begin this exciting panel discussion.
Thank you, Nathan. So, welcome everyone for this great panel discussion. I was pretty excited to be a part of this forum and sharing the screen with industry leaders like Arvind and Lee, who have spent enough time in retail. And I know that they come with a lot of experience on the retail value chain, especially on the loyalty front. So, retail and loyalty, these are like pretty close to me. So having spent enough time on retail, having gone through a lot of transformation journey is with leaders like Arvind and Lee in the last 15 years or so. So I understand the importance of loyalty, which is a core of retail. And this is a very interesting forum today where when Nathan came up with this topic on the loyalty in new age and talking more about the different user groups, the defragmented users, how do you bring all that? And we all know that today industry, when it, especially on retail, brands are struggling to keep up their existing customers, at the same time get new customers into the loyalty funnel. That's an industry-wide challenge. We all have been going through this in the last few years because customers have got like too many options today, and we are all on like the spree of keeping our customers engaged with the brand in one or other way. So talking a bit about, was that a question? Okay. So talking a bit about the user groups, right? Arvind and Lee, we all know that we are able to categorize the loyalty customers or the shoppers into three broad buckets. One are the loyalists who are very specific on their shopping patterns, that they would want to go with one specific brand for any purchase. And the second category being they are sticky towards a specific brand, but they are willing to shop around for the specialty products or on a need basis. And the third category, the most toughest, like people like who shop around for anything and everything they would want to do. So they're not loyal to a specific brand for any such products. So in this challenging environment, like we are talking about the loyalty trends, the way the industry is progressing towards, the way the retailers are looking at loyalty, and the different trends. So that's the prime agenda for today. So we have industry leaders like Arvind and Lee who are going to talk about their experiences. It's more about their experiences and the way they see loyalty transforming today. And I'm very eager to learn from them on the best practices that the organizations have followed and the way they are strategizing this particular piece of loyalty. So very happy to be a part of this discussion. And I would like to get started with certain interesting questions I have, and also like the discussion topics. Mostly they are like all open-ended questions where we can discuss things in detail. So to start with hmm, um, the topic of loyalty, right? Now, Arvind, here is my first question to you. How has your organization defined loyalty? Right. So when you say like loyalty, I'm talking more about the brand loyalty. And can you just give us some examples and understanding the definition out here?
Sure, sure. Uh, Company to company, I think the definition slightly differs, but it is fairly consistent across industries. We at Balfour and Co. We are a successful graduation consumer products company uh, based in North America. Are we getting a lot of noise? No, there are noise on the line.
Noise I do see. Like I think we'll be on mute, so like we'll get in.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
better.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. As a very successful graduation consumer products company in North America, we offer the best products to our customers, right? Which is yearbooks, school rings, college rings, photographic, cap and gowns, and all the graduation products. Right? For us, brand loyalty is defined in a way it establishes affinity. There are three aspects that we take in. One is affinity to the brand, an attachment to the brand, and trust with the brand. So for us, those are the three key parameters that define brand loyalty. If I really give you some examples of the brand loyalty as we have seen, especially in the area of college rings and letterman jackets, right? Our consumers are generational consumers, right? If we work with colleges and schools, and we're a 110-year-old company. That means we probably have about 4 to 5 generations of customers who have gone back to the same brand and the same product that they've been buying. So we are a consumers. Our consumers are generational, and we see that quite often, right? A grandfather or a grandmother, passing on that legacy to the father or the mother, and then that passes on to the kids, and the kids passing on to the grandkids. So we're seeing that. So for us, it's a three factors: affinity, attachment, and trust.
Absolutely, Arvind. So you nailed it. So that's good to know. It's like it's really good to know that you have customers from generations, right? How does the loyalty pass from one generation to the other? So it's great to know about how your organization has defined loyalty and the parameters that you guys are considering as the important aspects out here. So Lee, any thoughts on how your organization has been looking into this aspect of loyalty? Anything that you
Absolutely, yeah, man. Thank you. And I want to thank AR CoreSpot, Infosys, and being able to be on this panel with Aravind from Balfour means a lot to me. It's an important panel, important topic. As e-commerce chief architect and food business chief architect at Mars, similar to Aravind, we're a 100-plus-year-old CPG food company, specializing in the world's largest pet food company, candy, which most of you are probably familiar with, M&Ms and Snickers, but we're also food and rice-based products for close to 75 years on the food side. The idea is that our users, our customers, our consumers have an affinity with our brand going back from the physical brick and mortar, either still putting it on their store shelves or our consumers going in through our channels. And we do a lot of brand advertising. So affinity and loyalty begins with a lot of advertising, television, print. But as we move into digital media, and where I come to the table 6 years here at Mars, including prior 25 years in e-commerce. As an architect, I like to work with the business, not just on the technical components, but really what is the end-to-end business value that they're trying to do for their specific business, for their specific brand, across the country, the region, and then across the globe. We're in 85 countries. So as you can imagine, different markets require different activities in terms of customer and consumer engagement. And I would venture to say that loyalty is a part of everything we do. And then there's the loyalty programs that specifically reach out, and we can go into that throughout this presentation. But I would say at the end of the day, we're really looking for as Aravind articulated, this trust, this reputable, multi-generational aspect, you know. And I would like to go into a little bit more detail as we have more questions, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I'll
Absolutely.
leave it at that, and we can expand as we go on.
Thank you, Lee. And also, as a global CPG business model chief architect, right? So, I would like to hear from you on your thoughts on the digital consumer trends specific to loyalty, right? And do you see any impact, like any challenges in specific? We would like to hear on that, Lee.
Sure. The way I'm an architect by trade, and with that, I like to use visuals when I talk to the business side in particular. And I like to do a crawl, walk, run approach. The run
Mhm.
and fly approach is the deep in the weeds. But when I'm talking to a CMO, a CDO, CIO, a division president, I like to keep it high level. So there are three pillars that we tend to look at in the digital space, and they all impact loyalty. As we go to reach out to our consumers and our customers,
Mhm.
we look at content, we look at community, and we look at commerce. And the trends are really interesting. As far as the content and community, we're experiencing this right here. As you become loyal engagers with AI Core Spot and Infosys, you will be engaged more with webinars and live streaming and learning about the services and thought leadership that the organization can provide by providing guests such as Arvin and myself and Hemant. So that's one area. Activity, uh, uh, producer content, user generated content. So that's kind of from the content space. From the community space, uh, there's a lot of different things, including gamification and activities. I had mentioned to the team here on this call that I was the lead architect on Mars's um, Tree Town immersive experience, which was Halloween will not be canceled for COVID, digital trick or treating, and we put together in 2 months with 15 technologies out of the box, patent pending, an environment where consumers, under the auspice of privacy and security, where parents could bring children in, because we do not market to under 13-year-olds, but they are the consumers of our candies, but they were able to enjoy a digital experience with their own local community plus their broader community. They were able to bring grandma and grandpa in from across the country, across the world. Um, so doing these types of things uh, allows us, and we connected with our big suppliers, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, uh, to deliver the candy at the end of the day, either by going in-store pickup uh, or delivering it to the homes. So traditional e-commerce. Why is that loyalty? Because we enacted a gaming experience where they would come back and play and get points and earn digital currency. So though that whole act and experience was uh, a loyalty activity because they were engaged and immersed. Um, so again, some out of the box thinking, applying bleeding edge capabilities, mobile based, web based, uh, but really looking at not only Gen Zs and millennials, but everybody up, as Aravind mentioned, the generation spectrum. So,
So that was my next question, Lee. You answered it. So I was about to ask you about the user groups, and you
mm,
rightly did it, because when you talk about gamification, mobile app adoption, and all that, so
yeah,
primarily the target audience are like the Gen Zs and the millennials, right? So I was like trying to understand how is that loyalty pattern differ from these two generations with like the other generations we have. Like you said, like you have grandparents like coming in, getting
mm,
candies for the kids, and their buying pattern and their stickiness towards the brand. So how do you see that difference between the millennial group and the senior group?
sure. Is that to me or Arvin?
Yeah, it's a follow-up question to you, Lee. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be quick because I want Arvin. I love to hear his opinions. So let's say the Gen Zs and the early millennials. My son is 28, so he's right on the bridge, and it's really parents and children, and then you have, the aunts, uncles, and grandparents, and those go up above into boomers even. Um, so a lot of activity from the Gen Zs and the millennials for a safe environment, plus a interactive game-like experience, and we using some of the great platforms. I'll mention a few: the Microsoft PlayFab and Unity platforms to have gaming experiences, creating avatars, putting costumes, dressing up your house in your community, using map technology to go down your block and have kids in your neighborhood, just like they do in the physical trick or treating experience. So a lot of that. But then the boomers, the grandmas, grandpas who are learning on their iPads and their mobile phones, being encouraged by their grandchildren and children to play and join, they're learning. But the learning is from a very familial and community environment because it's not their nature. I'd say a good portion of, let's say, boomers, let's just pick them, learned how to order groceries over uh, and with that, pet food, from Mars' perspective, candy or rice products, either directly through a Walmart or an Amazon Fresh, or through a direct brand sites. But now they're learning, how can I participate and dress up a house and give out candy to the children?
Yeah.
And the whole digital currency is a discussion on itself because um, of the way it operates. But there was learning on each side, and frankly, the leading teachers were the Gen Zs and the children. So it's quite awesome. Hopefully
Absolutely.
that helps.
That's
And
interesting. Yeah.
and as
Yeah.
long as you make it fun, and Arvin will attest to this,
Yeah.
then you get everyone involved.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Arvind, any follow-up thoughts on these digital trends when it comes to
Sure.
the consumer behavior, or what do you see from your experience?
Sure. See, some of the digital trends that we are seeing today are, I can box it in three areas. We're seeing a digital trend around interactions,
Uh-huh.
right? Interactions are any touch points that we have with our customer, right? Whether it is in store, whether it is in person, whether it is e-com, whether it is customer service. So that interaction, there's a huge shift in that interaction. I think interactions are becoming connected and disconnected by itself. I think that's one trend that we are seeing. So we as IT leaders, we have to address that interaction. The
Right.
second part of the digital trend we are seeing is the experience, right? And these experiences that the customers are looking for are very short-lived experiences. Unlike the previous generations, these are experiences that they want in that moment. So they are living in the moment, and they're living in the current time, and they want that experience to be the best experience now, right? It's not like us, some of us who uh, experience was long-lived experience. We would go and we would interact, we would talk, we would go back, and we will do a lot of things. Now the experience is short-lived. So we as IT leaders are really struggling to address short-lived experiences, right?
Absolutely.
And then the third one is action,
Mhm.
call to action. Now, call to action is very, very critical for us, because what do you do with that? What do you do with an interaction? What do you do with a short-lived experience? And then we get to a call to action. That is to take some action. Action to either enable that customer to buy, or they enable the customer to be provided with a service, or answer any questions that are there. So I think those are the three trends, and we're seeing a huge shift in all the three areas: interactions, experience, and call to action.
Got it, Arvind. Thank you. And interesting, you said, like, the interactions and actions take and they take a large portion of the decision making, right? When it comes to loyalty. I have a follow up question on this, but specific to digital, Arvind. So, with the advent of the digital natives making buying decisions, right? And what are the challenges that you or your organization is handling today? And how are you like dealing with all those?
Yeah, interesting question. In fact, we're still learning a lot about digital natives. My daughter is 16 years old, so she probably falls into that space because she's trying to, she's a first time buyer, right? So it's a first time buyer syndrome that we have. When it comes to digital natives and some of the challenges that we have, I would probably put the most important challenges. How do we capture and expand the influence of the digital native? Because digital natives have tremendous influence, right, within their circles, right? My daughter doesn't buy anything unless it's approved by 10 of her friends. It doesn't matter. It could be the best brand, it could be the best product, it could be the best fit, it could be the best color, it could be the best product. But if 10 of her friends don't approve, it doesn't matter, right? The price does not matter for her. It is that approval from 10 of her friends matter. So we are faced with a challenge as to how do we capture that attention and that influence, expanding influence of the digital native. I think that's one big challenge. The second thing is they're expecting us to provide a very, when I say fluid service, I kind of look at a lot of our touch, services are either high touch, low touch, or no touch.
Mhm.
I think the digital natives are expecting it at a moment it becomes high touch, to a moment it becomes low touch, and a moment it becomes no touch, right? When they want to turn on the chat. When they want, they will turn off the chat. When they want, they will turn on the phone calls. When they want, they'll turn off it. When they want, they'll go to the website and browse. And when they don't want, they'll not browse it. So how do we provide a service or a connection back to the customer who's expecting it to be very dynamic and very fluid, right? From a high touch, low touch, and a no touch perspective. And then the third challenge that we have seen is, the cross brand interactions, right? While we are very worried about a single brand and how we actually promote that, digital natives are looking at cross brand, right? A shoe going with a belt, or with a dress, or a dress going with a cap, or a cap going with something else. We have no idea how they are shopping, right? What's in their head, right? It's very, very difficult. So I think those are challenges, and I think for us, stringing that, what I earlier told you about a short-lived interaction or short-lived experience expectation, stringing a series of short-lived experiences for the digital natives is the way to capture it. Because for them, everything is in a moment. Today, 9:15 is important, and 9:20 is something else, and 9:30 is something else, and 9:40 is something else, and tomorrow it's way different than what we are looking at. So how
Right.
do I string a series of experiences that are short-lived and yet create a brand? We're slightly moving away from loyalty word to more of an enthusiasm. We're actually having digital natives to be brand enthusiasts,
Got it.
because we are looking at capturing that digital influence, the digital natives influence. And for that, we need to have enthusiastic brand ambassadors.
Absolutely, Arvind. So I
Awesome.
agree your thought here. As industry leaders, we all think about the influencer marketing as a part of our marketing strategy. But these guys, the digital natives, and I think they are the best influencers, I would say. Like in their community, as you rightly said, unless and until like 10 of your daughter's friends buy a specific product, your daughter will not do it. So I mean, I echo that thought. So Lee, this is a very interesting topic that we are progressing
Yes.
towards. So how are you seeing the digital natives making the
Yeah,
buying
exactly.
decisions? Yeah.
So, yeah, I look at it, we look at it in a very similar way that Arvind does. It's really about the 360 customer and consumer experience. For instance, I fully agree with shortening the time to action and reaction across all channels in a real-time way. As you mentioned, the digital natives, it's a natural world for them to expect everything in real time. They're not as, I like the way Arvind put it, adept as the asynchronous world, which we were brought up with in the early days, 20, 25 years ago, with low bandwidth and all of that, and the expectation of pose a question, wait an hour, that kind of a thing. The other aspect is the ability, I really see 6 areas: real time, mobile, be with the customer at all times, the store in your pocket, the communication, the news, the product in your pocket, the streaming in your pocket, hyper awareness and sensing the changes at all times. I like the idea around social of influencers becoming more important, but it's really interesting because the influencers may not be, the big stars on TikTok, even though they are influential, but that's the social shopping and your close knit community. Comes back to the 3 pillars I mentioned: content, community, and commerce. So, Aravind mentioned his daughter's 10 friends. They are socially shopping, agreeing, and we have to recognize that. And how do we approach that? Interacted, action based, all throughout the buying cycle. Um, before, during, and after the transaction, being communicative, uh, sensing, uh, how did we do? Did you execute? Was the part fulfilled? Do you have any questions on follow up? The reward experience. It's got to include multiple payment methods, currencies, multiple reward types, as we expand our ability to go beyond just standard coupons and points into more experiences. But it really comes down to very similar aspects. And I mentioned it earlier on the gamification, the continuous brand engagement, and coming back and having rewards embedded in those experiences. So if we look at mobile, social, interaction, reward experience, real time, and gamification, we have a good framework of addressing challenges uh, to to keep customers and digital natives in particular continuous uh, loyal customers.
Interestingly, so Arvind and Ali, this is for both of you, right? There is always a conception that digitally engaged customers are a lot more loyal compared to the non-digital customers. So even a couple of research reports says that, right? When you engage your customers on a digital channel, whether it's through mobile or social, then you have all options to keep them engaged. Throw them with the offers, coupons, or anything, any enticing stuff that will keep the brand engagement up. So, what are your thoughts? Is that really what we see out in your business, or do you have a difference of opinion here?
Yeah, I think for us, we do agree that digitally savvy customers are brand enthusiasts,
Hmm.
right? There's a huge difference between loyalty and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is you not only buy, but you influence 10 other people to buy,
Right.
right? A loyal brand customer keeps buying the same product over and over, but an enthusiastic brand customer becomes your advocate, and also is an advocate to drive change, right? So for us, I think absolutely true. That's why I think we have to engage with the digitally savvy, brand customers, and it's also very very critical that we connect up that influence that is there. So it's not just them, but it's their circle, it's their bigger circle, it's their outer circle, and it becomes that. That's why I think that whole circle of influence and how do we address that circle of influence is very very critical. But we do see that I think that they're all becoming critical for being a brand enthusiast.
So, Lee, what are your thoughts on the digital versus non-digital customers already? Do you also see the same trend of digital customers engaging with your brand more, or how does that work in your ecosystem?
So what we're learning, if you look back around 2016 when I joined Mars, myself and a few other digitally savvy veteran uh, resources were brought into Mars to help us evolve from a very strong legacy brick and mortar company to begin to engage more directly and digitize parts of our businesses. And we struggled with that the first couple of years, 2016, 17, because there was a culture across the company, across the globe, with our company. The culture was, we don't want to rock the boat with our 95% of our retailers. So we had to look at encouraging our retailers while participating more digitally. So that's one area that we began to help. The other area was to help certain brands go direct to consumers in certain markets, especially those that were embracing mobile and social more directly. And they kind of skipped, let's say, the desktop, laptop age and went right to mobile and social. So with that, we're finding there are quite a number of similarities. There's, at the beginning of, the customer environment, the journey, there's interest and awareness. You can start loyalty programs. You can start getting them with their calls to actions, as our event mentioned. Begin some type of brand point loyalty programs, but we test market those in certain markets, or we encourage our retailer channels and working with them and working on campaigns that they enact. The challenge there is that they get the first party customer data more directly than we do. But that's the bane of a brand manufacturer. We always kind of struggle with that. And we work to try to improve that. As we go down the funnel, we see areas where we can track either working with our top customers, the touch points where loyalty programs are enacting, and is it boomers versus digital natives? We develop loyalty indexes as we come down the funnel, and we begin to look at retention programs. So we shift our mindset a little bit from awareness and reach to retention. What have we identified and how can we work on it? Now we have one special area of loyalty that we can go directly, but we also work with our retailers. And it's by its nature is the subscription market. And this is huge in our pet food area, because for all you pet owners and pet parents out there, you'll realize that your veterinarians recommend that when you put your pet on pet food, even throughout its life cycle, you stick with a certain regimen of pet food and brand because of biome, health and wellness aspects. So that works in our favor. It also works in our favor when you have 100-pound bag of pet food and you have, 110-pound consumer going to the pet food store to pick it up and move it into their car. So by having subscriptions and having it delivered once a month, twice, once every other month to the house makes things easier. Plus, we can track retention and action in those models. So we have a couple of different models, working closely with our retailers to understand better the consumers, so customer to consumer, going direct to consumers in certain aspects without disintermediating our customers, and then working with our retailers or going direct, but supporting subscription models. So those are key
Absolutely.
areas.
So I get it. So even at InfoVision, when we did a research on the trends, the loyalty trends, right, on how you keep your customer within your loyalty ecosystem, one of the interesting things that had come up was the subscription-based models, right? Right from large retailers till the convenience stores or the gas stations, they are looking at a subscription-based model where they can keep the customers within their loyalty ecosystem. At the same time, when the customers are feeling that they are being privileged for what they are being loyal for. So not just on the pricing part, they might have a few additional discounts or whatever linked to when they get into a subscription model, but it's all about the treatment, right? The privilege
Yep.
they get as a subscribed member from a customer experience standpoint. What if a subscription based member walks into a retail outlet, and in case if he is going to have an elite experience, so that's definitely going to be a win-win for both the retailer as well as a customer in terms of this particular program. That's a great thought, and we are seeing a lot of traction on the subscription model. So that's great.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would add to that. Inherently, as I started my conversation today, inherently loyalty is the way you treat customers within the experience, and it comes around with the trust, as Arvind mentioned. Very, very important for brand recognition. But then you see, and then there's a functionality of payment and ease of experience, so subscription, and then you begin to tie some of these together. And this is only one example, which is additional discount, additional uh, privilege, or uh, pleasing customer experience by discount points and coupons with those subscriptions, cross sells, upsells. So these all come together. It's very interesting, the the myriad of opportunities.
Absolutely, Abhi. And let's get into the technology piece of today's discussion, right? So, of course, technology being an enabler for us to get where we want to land. But Arvind, how do you see these technologies or the systems and tools that are driving this loyalty aspect?
Yeah, yeah. No, technology is playing. It's changed in the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. Everything is driven through technology, right? It's the one that drives transformation, the one that drives operations. It's one that drives differentiation in the market. Uh, there are certain core principles of technology systems that have stayed true, like we mentioned, customer 360, uh, customer segmentation, customer lifetime value. These are all, I would say, the foundation on which the loyalty systems have been built. Because without that, you will not be able to understand customer buying patterns, customer behavior. So get to know the customer is very, very critical. But as you put digital natives into this equation, right, who are in this world of short-lived experiences, right,
Hmm.
it becomes even more important that we create network and proximity services. And when I say network and proximity services, it's really engineering for data, engineering for scale, and engineering for ever-present systems. Right? These are systems that are always on. It's not like they're on one time, they're off another. So we really have to engineer for that kind of a situation. And we're investing heavily in digital engineering aspects today. If you really take, there are 4 technologies which have become core for our company. One is we call as MAC, which is a very standard uh, terminology in the marketplace today. Microservices, so that we can consume and use services wherever they are. It's API driven. That's the second portion of it. And the third is it is always cloud, so that you are not constrained to compute and storage and infrastructure. And then it is headless, so that you really don't know where they're coming from, right? It's not one channel. It could be from any channel. So Mac and some of the principles of Mac has really driven new systems and new system adoption. But still the core of a lot of what we are talking about is customer 360, customer segmentation, customer lifetime value. But you add the Mac principles, the microservices, the API, the cloud, the headless, it becomes very, very interesting. So I think this area is all digital engineering today, because we're really putting things together at a high, high pace and a fast pace. But we're really putting things together almost like a Lego block.
Absolutely, Arvind. So I echo your thought here, especially with AI, right, emerging tech. We see a lot of opportunities for keeping our customers more loyal, especially on the personalization aspect. You brought it right, like the segmentation and personalization, and people forget about just the Gen Zs or the millennials, like in general customers are willing to give some amount of information, right? Like, I mean, a lot more information in order to get a personalized experience. That's proven today. Like, that's a trend we are seeing across the retail industry. So, as you rightly said, AI, emerging tech, like digital native customers, they are willing to provide as many details as possible, right, to have a better shopping experience. Totally agree. And Lee, what are your thoughts in terms of technology outside what we have seen so far? Like outside AI and personalization, do you see anything that you're able to add on to?
So if we would look back again, start with the digital 2.0 framework I spoke about, content community commerce. Within that, there's a layer in the middle of capabilities, and these are just a few. Social commerce technologies, the ability to support multiple messaging tools, not just the Facebooks, but the WhatsApps, the Vipers, for social shopping, the various technologies that enable uh, subscription management, but also immersive experiences, as well as marketplaces, and being able to apply uh, marketplace management, either managing directly third party marketplaces or running our own marketplaces or working with third party marketplace integrators, which we do a number of in certain markets. So there's a whole integration of the end to end e commerce and marketplace capabilities from manufacturing to presenting on marketplaces to tying it to warehouses to getting it to last mile delivery back out to the consumer. So these are all aspects. Um, if you look at some of the things in terms of how you're managing uh, the technologies, uh, the participants in loyalty programs, how are you handling their sign up, their their membership, if you will, identifying them, uh, uh, knowing where they are on web versus e-commerce platforms versus email systems, CRM versus uh, social, and having all of that. So there's member life cycle, profile management, and then managing the transactions. So the call to actions and
Mm-hmm.
watching how much activity. So reporting on that. So classic, I'll use a football analogy, blocking and tackling on business intelligence and reporting. Um, Connecting with partners, integrating partner technologies, SaaS technologies that are helping you enact various couponing campaigns. And then another area, these are just a few, really about how are you managing your security and regulation components. That's a big part of it. How are you managing fraud, fraud prevention, uh, both on coupons, um, digital points, uh, new 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 means of digital currencies, and
Right.
how is that being regulated? Um, the whole gaming industry, uh, uh, running contests on its own, is tightly regulated in the U.S. Um, by the betting industry, the gaming industry, um, because of fraud in contests, as you can imagine. Um, so there's a lot of personal identifiable information and privacy impact assessment that needs to be done. And then, of course, from an architectural building block Lego standpoint, uh, not only a security layer, an integration layer, e-commerce layer, consumer data layer, and various campaign layers that are foundation for loyalty programs. So those are
Absolutely. Yep, yep. So we are seeing the similar trends out, right? Like the social gaming, the AR-based gaming, or the sweepstakes, whatever you just mentioned, right? So
yeah,
you enter into a sweepstake by buying a product, and I see most of the retailers do that today. So yeah,
yeah.
I get that completely. So Arvind and Lee, we have a couple of questions from the participants in the audience. So I would like to take a few. The first question was from Rakim. The question is more on the online shopping experience. So, with the online shopping experience on the rise, what are the top things that consumers value in the digital experience? That's a great question. So you'd want to take it, Arvind, or
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I think that the right product, right price, and the right value. So they're looking to get there as quickly as possible, right? I think that those, as long as it so when we look at online shopping, I think the biggest hurdle that we see is the path to purchase, right? How long is it going to take for you to purchase a particular, and why you came? First of all, your intent to buy, and the second thing is, how quickly can you buy that, right? So, simplifying the website, simplifying the path to purchase, simplifying the navigation, the whole customer experience in the digital world, right? That's very, very critical. And I think as long as we can accomplish that, then you can add the upsell, the cross sell. Because many times we know, the site, the websites and the customer experience is so confusing that we've seen sites where the first thing that they do is upsell and cross sell.
right?
They forget the intent the customer came with. Let's say I wanted to buy a shoe. The intent is to buy the shoe, right? While I know I want to add the socks and the other things, but it's not my intent, right? And then what happens when you do excessive upsell, cross sell? The customer is just bouncing from page to page to page and not really doing that action, the call for action that was missing. So I think that's one thing that the online shopping, that's what they're looking for: the right product, the right price, and the right value, and how quickly can they get there.
Absolutely, Arvind. So I see this as a problem in the industry, right? So first of all, you need to accomplish what you want to, and then if you're able to give them the recommendations, right? Or like if it is a merchandise, when I buy a sport coat, if you're gonna sell the shirt or a jean as a complete the look, that's fine. But without even me making a decision what I want to do, if I see like top lot of upsells, then there is very likely that I might switch to a different option, because it's all online, right? I have in a fingertip I can move to a different player altogether. 200% agree. And the other question from Shmuel Irshal, me sorry, like in case if I didn't get the name right. So the question was more on the COVID-19 pandemic. So as we all know that we are in the endemic stage, that's what I would at least call it as. So there are the question is more on the impacts of COVID-19 on the future of loyalty in the digital space.
I think one thing we saw from the COVID-19, it's kind of, you're right. We're end of the pandemic. In fact, we're not even calling it anymore pandemic. So we're done with the word. I think this whole notion that the customer had a lot of time in their hand, right? So they would do compare and contrast, and they would go and read the reviews. They will see if it's a 4-star or a 4.5 star or a 5-star, and what are the positive reviews and the pros and cons. So I think that has really one area that has impacted, from a customer and from a loyalty standpoint, that they're looking for reviews and feedbacks, and being a very honest and trustful way to have that is becomes very, very critical, right? And then the other thing that's is also, they like to hop from one to another because they had time. Right? People were at home and they didn't have the time to commute, and they were not going outside. So a lot of stuff that forced people to have a lot more time. So I think, so that has really become now. I see that all the time. You go to retailers today. Uh, I know during the pandemic time, you would shop online and you would pick it up in your car. So you would just drive up and you would have a spot where you can park your car, and they would put the groceries or the vegetables or whatever that you shop. Uh, I've seen retailers now expanding it, right? Instead
That's
of one bay, I see 15 bays.
right.
Right
Absolutely.
now, that's become the new normal. Right. So I think the pandemic has certain behaviors on people, especially shopping and looking for reviews, right? Looking for all those feedback. So I think that's the new world that we are. That's the new normal now.
Absolutely. The convenience, right, Arvind? So, the convenience what we got from the pandemic, people are continuing to expect that from retailers. So,
Yeah.
in that way, we call this as a new normal, as you rightly said.
Yeah.
So, Lee, any additional thoughts on this? Because COVID-19 has changed, like, the business models, like anything, not just retail, across industry, we see an impact. So, what are your thoughts in terms of how did that have an impact in loyalty from your perspective?
Sure. Yeah, I would like to answer a little bit on both questions. One is we we really need to understand where the consumer is in their shopping cycle. As Aravind mentioned, you don't want to be throwing cross sells if they're coming in quickly to make a purchase. You're just distracting them. So understanding better what the target customer's objective is, and if he's willing to make a purchase, he's much further down the funnel. So we have to be cognizant of that and be able to deliver that. The next is to engage them with information that they need for that perfect for that purchase decision. Additional information, product specs, time to delivery, all of those kinds of things. And then all of these play into, as I've mentioned earlier, a pleasing experience, which then moves to retention. So, and then repeat customer loyalty and follow-on sales. So with COVID, I think what we saw as a brand manufacturer was an uptick in consumers wanting to get a hold of our products, even if they couldn't get to the retail store, as well as helping retailers, especially in the mid to smaller size retailers, understand how could you embrace digitization and still sell directly to your consumers when you didn't have a fulfillment channel or even, let's say, a website. So working with them to get up a mobile site, get payment processing, and supporting those channels was a big job of a global $45 billion brand manufacturer. So these were some of the areas that really became, the superpower of end-to-end e-commerce for our channels. At the same time, we were selling a bit directly with a balance, to consumers with a balance of not wanting to disintermediate our retailer customers in those markets. So those are some of the areas. The pandemic allowed us to really prove culturally across Mars to our brick and mortar brand teams that we could do this digitally and we could digitize our businesses. For instance, we took our third tier ice cream channel, and I worked directly on this, and we turned it into an Amazon-like experience for our convenience stores. Why did we do that? Because they had green screens, and they on the weekends, these small proprietors were going home and buying shoes, clothing, books on Amazon. They needed an Amazon experience. So by doing that, we enhanced the loyalty and increased the size of our third tier customer channels. So we're doing loyalty on the B2B level as well as the end consumer level. And this came straight out of COVID and pandemic.
Absolutely, I get that. So I have a personal question on this, but really quick. So with the pandemic changing the way of shopping, right? Like for us, from a retail standpoint, the trip frequency is a lot important, right? So only when a customer walks into the store a couple of times, like there is a high possibility that you might, sell more from a product standpoint. He might want to buy a product X, but he lands up buying a couple of more products. But definitely, like whatever is useful to him or his family, he gets it. But with this pandemic making an impact and bringing in the curbside pickups or the contact deliveries coming into place, did your business lose out on any what to say anything on that front, Arvind and Lee? So, for example, right, when your basket size is 10, ideally, when a customer walks into your store, and because of pandemic, the person has not walked into the store, he had ordered and made a pickup. So, did you see any decrease in your overall sales or on the basket size of those transactions?
Yeah. Luckily for us, we don't have retail stores, so we don't have that phenomenon. But we still track a very important metric that we track in our organization is an average order value.
Mm-hmm.
So AOV is a very big indicator of the basket that you're talking about, what a customer buys, right? And we are always finding ways to increase the average order value, either through upsell, cross sell, or through really creating a basket. So we have this thing called as a packet. So if you are a graduate, let's say and you want to gift a graduate, right? Instead of selling a T-shirt or a tie or a keychain or a water bottle or a backpack as individual products, we made them as groups. So we have what is called as grad pack. So that automatically, one, it increases the average order value, and second, it also makes the customer buy all the things that they need at one shot, right? So we're more and more focused towards how can we create that grouping, how can we create the logical grouping of things that they need. For example, if you buy a cap and gown, you obviously need a tussle, right? If you buy a yearbook, you actually need a pen so that the yearbook can be signed, right? Very simple things that people don't realize that all goes together as a bundle. So bundle is a very important aspect, and we have tried extremely hard during the COVID and pandemic time to really create meaningful packets that people can buy, thereby increasing the order value.
Absolutely, Arun. So even from a consumer standpoint, right, as a regular customer, forget about what I am now. When I walk into a store, the agenda is to buy something. The prime motive is to buy something, and something that is more important is my experience, right? I did really miss that out. Walking into a store, walking into different aisles, looking for products, get to know the new product that came out. So I did miss that as a customer. So of course, I'll end up buying more when I walk into a store, but at the same time, the customers did miss on the buying experience overall when this pandemic hit. Good that I think most of our businesses are back to normal. We see the customers like doing both. Like people still do curbside pickup. At the same time, we see the regular shopping pattern in the brick and mortar stores too. So anything you would want to add, Lee, to what we just spoke?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to Arvind, we're not a retailer, but as a manufacturer, we work very closely with our retailers. Little different than Arvind, where he can put a package of products together. Ours are typically onesie, twosie, and a shopping cart in general. But where we do excel, and we've translated this, and this kind of goes back to an earlier question. We translated tactics and ideas, but we've digitized that we used in the physical brick market. So showcases, uh, television commercials, brand awareness, new products that are coming out, and we do that on our. We can do that on brand websites that Mars has, but those typically aren't as visited as, let's say, an Amazon. So we have an Amazon store for our top brands. So our
Mhm.
top pet brands or our top candy brands. Each will have their own Amazon store, and we'll have stores on the Walmart marketplace. And others, um, uh, we will work closely with our retailers to do digital showcasings, like the end caps you would have when you walk into the retail store uh, and month. Like you mentioned, what is the new product on the end cap in the aisle? Well, we'll do that on a digital end cap. So
Right.
with banners and category tabs and the like. So we help them expand their e-commerce platform with showcases around our pet brands, our candy brands, and we allow them and provide them with uh, actually, in many cases, with top retailers, we are category captains. So, for the chocolate candies, we are a category captain for many grocery retailers. So we will come in their physical stores and say, "Well, this is where it should be placed on your shelves." We do the same thing uh, on the digital side. So it's changed the idea. The salesperson who owns that national global account from Mars is not just a physical retail guy who goes to the store, takes them out to lunch, takes the order. He's now helping them set up not only their physical shelves, but their digital shelves. And in certain areas, we split those two. One's a digital focus, one's physical focus. But we try to bring these people together. And that's where we come in, not only with a capability architecture and a technology architecture, but a business ways of working in business model architecture.
Absolutely, Ali. And a follow-up question to Lee and Aaron both. Like, how do we measure this loyalty today with the evolving trends in the loyalty landscape, right? So, how are we measuring it today?
Yeah.
And how does that measurement plays an important role in building a long-term, corporate strategy?
Yeah, no, measurement does it. It's a composite index right now. So it's not just one single parameter that says here's the loyalty index, right? And I know in many cases it's not an easy thing as well, because the customer is moving, the consumer is moving, our brands are moving, we're launching new products. So we're really looking at a composite index. Composite index is takes into account the lifetime value, takes into account the customer segment, takes into account the customer uh, preferences and choice, the order values that they have placed in, the subscriptions that they put in place. So it's actually a very, very uh, inclusive and a composite index that we look at from and we don't have a number. I think that in the organization that we don't have like you are customer loyalty number one and number two and number three, because that we don't have that ranking, or we don't have a number, or we don't have a percentile score. I think we have a composite index that drives actions that we can take, not
So,
really
do
just
anything like a
driven.
member
Yeah.
tier, so based on the loyalty, do you do any member tiers like
Yeah,
the
the member tiers are those are very standard. It's not like it's not driving loyalty as much as we think. The member
okay?
tiers are there to give differentiated service to the customer. So if you are a platinum member, then you get a different service. If you have a gold member, you get a different service. If you're a silver, you get a different level of service. The high touch, low touch, no touch service that we're talking about. But it doesn't drive the loyalty yet, right? The loyalty is driven by how can we give the experience and how we can drive an action to that customer. So we look at it more like a set of complex and created index.
Right, right. And I've seen retailers who put the customers on the topmost tier and force them to make so and so transactions or the based on the purchase pattern. If I would want to continue in the platinum, I'll have to do so and so purchases in a time frame to get there, right? So that's one. And I've seen the other way where I am being put in the bottommost part, and I'll have to make the required purchases, or based on my stickiness towards the brand, I go up the ladder and get onto that platinum level. So I've seen both as the way to keep a customer engaged within the loyalty. So Lee, like any thoughts on the way how you see as the measurement of loyalty? How do you
Sure.
guys look into it?
Well, as a brand manufacturer, we're evolving our loyalty point of view. We have, I did a survey a few months back, and we saw probably over 30-point loyalty solutions across various markets. So we're very early on with a lot of test and learns and proof of concepts, and very local market uh, driven, if you will. Um, traditionally large organizations such as the airlines or let's say Starbucks, they have very known branded programs that we probably all participate in with points and status and all that. But with a brand manufacturer that's working closely with retailers that have their own loyalty programs, we have to be cognizant of those programs. So uh, what we do is very similar to Aravind, a composite, a we look to improve uh, the insight that we're able to acquire across consumer lifetime value, subscriptions added, detracted, um, uh, and and the like. Uh, what we're doing, because we have these disparate programs, um, is we've made a big push in the last couple of years into cloud and data lake technology, where
Hmm.
we're subsuming various data points, consumer data, even the loyalty or uh, sales orders, uh, for analysis, uh, to get the high level trends. and look at what's happening in certain markets and certain regions. So I would say we're in vast improvement. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where there's one platform for loyalty, but as you can imagine, our goal is not to support 35 different platforms or agencies driving these. Get it down to a manageable number. That's where we're getting more benefit. So that's kind of where we're heading.
Yeah. So thank you. So I think it was a very productive 1 hour for me. A lot of takeaways from like the discussion topics we had. So thanks for sharing your thoughts and inputs, Arvind and Lee. And I'm sure that participants and the entire panel, like we did like the way how this conversation has gone, and a lot of interesting insights we spoke about. So my pleasure to be a part of this panel with you both. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. The time just went by.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, guys.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Hemant.
you.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you, Lee. It was a lovely thought from all of you guys. And, means actually the time went very fast. Means I was just thinking that I saw the time. It's already 10 a.m. So thanks a lot, guys,
Okay.
for bringing this all together. Lovely topic, loyalty in new age. So just to wrap up, we'd like to thank from our side, from AI Course Pod side, InfoVision, which is our knowledge and innovation partner, and Digit7, which is our technology partner. Digit7 also have a great innovation lab of 15,000 square feet in Richardson, Texas. And any one of you who are dropping by can always go to their office, have a look to feel that. To understand more in depth, connect with them, and to suggest any aspect, all of you can go through their website, which is infovision.com and digit7.io. Closely liaison with that. Also, we'd like to thank our community partners, speakers, and attendees who came together for enriching knowledge through this forum. We had a great set of panel speakers who came together to share thoughts for today's topic. Just for your information, today's event was broadcasted in the YouTube and Facebook page of our company. So all of you can go and see the recording anytime after the event is over. Please log on to our website and like the social media channels. We'll be sharing lots of knowledge sharing topics, details, announcement of next events, and much more, which will help you register and attend the same. Thank you, guys. Thank you a lot for bringing your time, giving you a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.